Biography of Jyotirao Phule. Jyotirao Govindarao Phule, revered as Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, was a transformative figure in 19th-century India, whose relentless efforts in social reform reshaped the landscape of caste and gender equality in Maharashtra. Born on 11th April 1827, in Satara district, Maharashtra, Phule emerged from humble beginnings to become a pioneering social activist, thinker, writer, and educator. His life's work focused on dismantling the oppressive caste system, advocating for women's education, and uplifting marginalized communities, earning him the title of Mahatma, Great Soul, in 1888 from social reformer Vithalrao Krishnaji Vandekar. This biography explores Phule's life, his ideological evolution, and his enduring contributions to Indian society. Early life and education. Jyotirao Phule was born into a family of the Mali caste, traditionally fruit and vegetable growers, considered part of the Shudra social class in the Hindu Varna system. His family, originally named Gorhe, adopted the surname Phule, meaning flowerman, due to their expertise in floristry, which earned them patronage from the Peshwa, Baji Rao II, including a grant of 35 acres of tax-free land under the Inam system. Phule's father, Govindarao, was a vegetable vendor and farmer, while his mother, Chimnabai, passed away when Jyotirao was just 9 months old, leaving him and his elder brother in their father's care. Phule's early education was modest, limited to primary school where he learned basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. The Mali community placed little emphasis on formal education, and financial constraints forced Phule to leave school to work on the family farm and in their flower business. However, a neighbor, recognizing his intellectual potential, persuaded Govindarao to enroll him in the Scottish Mission High School in Pune, now Pune, in 1841. Phule completed his English education in 1847, an experience that exposed him to Western ideas of equality, rationalism, and social justice. During this period, he formed a lifelong friendship with Sadashiv Ballal Govande, a Brahman, transcending caste barriers. A pivotal moment in Phule's life occurred in 1848 when he attended the wedding of an upper caste Brahman friend. Humiliated and expelled from the ceremony due to his Shudra background, Phule's resolve to challenge caste oppression solidified. This incident, coupled with his reading of Thomas Paine's Rights of Man, profoundly influenced his worldview, igniting a lifelong crusade against social injustices. Marriage and partnership with Savitribai. In 1840, at the age of 13, Phule married Savitribai, a girl from his community who was also uneducated at the time due to restrictions imposed on lower castes and women. Recognizing education as a tool for empowerment, Phule personally taught Savitribai to read and write, defying societal norms. This act marked the beginning of their extraordinary partnership, with Savitribai becoming a revolutionary in her own right as India's first female teacher and a key collaborator in Phule's reform efforts. Their marriage, rooted in mutual respect and shared ideals, exemplified their commitment to equality. Social reform and educational initiatives. Phule's most significant contribution was his pioneering work in education, particularly for women and lower caste individuals. In 1848, he established India's first school for girls at Tatya Saheb Bhide's residence in Pune, with Savitribai as its teacher. This was a radical act in a society where female education, especially for lower castes, was virtually non-existent. The school faced fierce opposition from orthodox Brahmins, who viewed it as a threat to the caste hierarchy. Phule and Savitribai were ostracized, and their family disowned them, forcing them to seek shelter with their friends, Usman Sheikh and Fatima Sheikh, who also supported the school's operations. Undeterred, Phule expanded his educational mission, opening schools for children from untouchable castes such as the Mahar and Mang, and establishing night schools for working-class individuals. By 1852, the Phules operated 3 schools, educating 273 girls, a remarkable achievement for the time. However, financial challenges, exacerbated by the withdrawal of European donations after the 1857 rebellion and Phule's resignation from the school management committee over curriculum disputes, led to their closure by 1858. Despite this setback, Phule's advocacy for compulsory primary education and incentives for marginalized students left a lasting impact, influencing later reformers like Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Phule's educational philosophy was rooted in his belief that knowledge was the key to dismantling caste and gender oppression. He argued that the Brahminical monopoly on education perpetuated social inequality, and his schools aimed to democratize access to learning, empowering the oppressed to challenge systemic injustices. Satyashodhak Samaj and anti-caste advocacy. In 1873, Phule founded the Satyashodhak Samaj, Society of Truth Seekers, a groundbreaking organization dedicated to promoting equality and social justice. The Samaj welcomed people from all castes, religions, and backgrounds, including Jews, and treated men and women as equals. With 316 members by 1876, it focused on education, health, and economic empowerment for Shudras and Atishudras, untouchables. The Samaj's publication, Deen Bandhu, served as its voice, amplifying Phule's critiques of caste oppression. Phule's anti-caste ideology challenged the Brahminical narrative that justified caste hierarchy through religious texts like the Vedas, which he dismissed as tools of false consciousness. He proposed that the indigenous people, whom he identified as the original inhabitants of India, held rightful claims to land and power before the arrival of iron invaders, whom he accused of instituting the caste system to subjugate them. His book Gulamgiri, Slavery, 1873, drew parallels between the oppression of lower castes in India and African American slaves, dedicating it to American abolitionists. Phule is also credited with introducing the term Dalit, broken or crushed, to describe those outside the Varna system, a term later popularized by the Dalit Panthers in the 1970s. Literary contributions. Phule's writings were powerful instruments of social change, blending critique with advocacy. His notable works include Gulamgiri, 1873, a scathing critique of caste oppression, comparing it to slavery and calling for the unity of Shudras and Atishudras. Shetkaryacha Asud, Cultivator's Whipcord, 1881, highlighted the exploitation of farmers by upper caste landlords and moneylenders. Sarvajanik Satya Dharma Pustak outlined the principles of the Satyashodhak Samaj, advocating for a universal ethic of equality. Satyashodhak Samjachi Vangamyavali, a collection of speeches and writings addressing caste, gender, and religious reform. Phule's literary style, often in Marathi, was accessible and direct, resonating with the masses. His works challenged Brahmanical orthodoxy, promoted rationalism, and drew inspiration from Bhakti saints like Kabir and Tukaram, who championed social justice. Other social reforms. Phule's activism extended beyond education and caste. He opposed child marriage, supported widow remarriage, and in 1863, established an infanticide prevention center to provide safe spaces for pregnant widows to give birth and care for their infants. He and Savitribai adopted Yashwantarao, a child born to a Brahman widow, demonstrating their commitment to breaking caste and gender barriers. Phule also constructed a communal bathing tank outside his home in 1868, symbolizing his rejection of caste-based purity norms. As a businessman and municipal commissioner of Pune, 1876 to 1883, Phule supplied metal casting equipment and advocated for policies to improve marginalized communities' living conditions. His multifaceted career as a merchant, cultivator, and author complemented his reform efforts, providing financial stability to sustain his activism. Legacy and impact. Jyotirao Phule's death on 28 November 1890, due to a stroke, marked the loss of a visionary, but his legacy endures. His work inspired Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who acknowledged Phule as one of his three gurus, and influenced Mahatma Gandhi's anti-caste campaigns. The Mahatma Phule Museum in Pune and the Maharashtra government's Mahatma Jyotiba Phule Jeevan Dini Yojana, a cashless healthcare scheme, honor his contributions. His ideas on education, equality, and social justice remain relevant, shaping modern India's commitment to inclusivity. Phule's life was a testament to the power of education and activism in challenging systemic oppression. His partnership with Savitribai, his establishment of the Satyashodhak Samaj, and his literary critiques laid the foundation for India's social reform movements. By championing the rights of Dalits, women, and peasants, Phule not only confronted the injustices of his time but also ignited a movement for a more equitable society, cementing his place as the father of our social revolution, as described by biographer Dhananjay Keer.